Gerard and Rhino in the studio. What day is this, Rhino, since we're off tomorrow?
It's still Friday Eve, but it feels like an extra special Friday Eve.
In so many ways. We're going to kick off the program this morning, of course, by extending our heartfelt congratulations to the Mississippi State University Bulldogs. What an awesome performance in the College World Series, nabbing the national championship trophy. What a distinction for the state of Mississippi and, of course, the Mississippi State University Bulldogs. That was an incredible performance. And from this Ole Miss Rebel, proud of you. And thanks for representing our state with such honor, grace, and distinction. And to talk more about it, joining us now on the program, our good friend, the co-host of SportsTalk Mississippi, Brian Hadad. You been asleep yet there, Brian?
not enough, but yes, I have, yes.
All right, so did you hang around here or did you head up to Omaha?
No, I was in Mississippi the whole time. We didn't go on up there. So, I got to sort of sit around and watch it and enjoy it here in Starkville. As soon as the game was over, I headed into Starkville downtown and the Cotton District to see what the party was like, and it was I believe the kids say lit. I think that's the word they like to use. That's what it looked like in the Cotton District last night. So really, really fun scene down there, and yeah, it's still a little surreal, to be totally honest with you. I don't feel like it's completely sunk in yet.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to say that honestly, yesterday, having watched the game Tuesday, I felt really strong about State's chances. Considered saying that yesterday on the show, but elected not to, so as not to jinx that sort of inner feeling, using that inner feeling I had. And I say that because Vanderbilt just didn't look like they were swinging the bat very well. And I just felt like when Bednar took the mound, they weren't going to succeed against him. He's already awesome, and he had arguably one of the greatest performances of all time on the Hill in a College World Series game.
Well, I mean, he had 3 wins in this College World Series. Just an incredible performance by him throughout this College World Series. That's why he was named the most outstanding player. And you mentioned, you can even go back to Monday's game. Yes, State lost big, but after that first inning, State's bullpen came in and just completely shut down Vanderbilt. It's really weird that Vandy had that incredible first inning where they put 7 runs on the board, and then they only scored 3 more runs for the rest of the 3 games.
And how many in that first inning were a result of base on balls?
Yeah. I mean, I think Vandy only had maybe 9 hits the whole 3. I mean, it's incredible numbers. So State's pitching staff really delivered. And that's what we talked about all year, Gerard, was State's pitching staff was what was going to carry them as far as they would go. Well, they carried them to the national championship.
Well, Vanderbilt's no slouch on the Hill as well, but State, they just swung the bat better. I mean, so, the deal in baseball is you can either swing defensively so as not to fail, which normally means you're going to fail, or you can go up there with fire in your eyes and a little grit and swing to hit and play the game offensively. State did that at the plate. Vanderbilt didn't.
Now, it looked like last night State had a really good approach for Kumar Rocker, who we know is one of the best pitchers in college baseball. But they did a good job of attacking his fastball and sort of staying away from the off-speed stuff, which is usually where he gets you. And they chased him, relatively early in that game. And then, that was always going to be the key, was to get into the Vanderbilt bullpen. And then they just kept piling on him. And, I had some friends at the game who said the last out was kind of anticlimactic because the game ended when Kellum Clark parked that home run in the right center field. That's when it went to 9-0, and you knew Landon Sims was coming. You're like, well, they're not going to be able to blow this.
Yeah,
and they did. They won the national title.
Yeah, I think that's right. And in fact, about the only way you blow something like that is not because you give up a bunch of hits. It's because you start walking guys and making stupid errors, and that just wasn't likely to happen, and it didn't, of course. But one of the things I think I also observed, Brian, and tell me your thoughts on this. It looked like that as good as Vanderbilt's pitching is, which you could argue carried them this far as well, they didn't spot up very well. They were throwing, they weren't pitching, whereas State's pitchers, particularly Bednar last night, he was spotting up pretty well.
Yeah. I thought Leiter and Rocker gave them quality starts, but beyond that, you're right, Vanderbilt's bullpen was not very effective all week long. And you also mentioned defense. State had been bad defensively all year.
Yeah.
And they didn't make an error in the first team ever to win the College World Series and not make an error. Whereas Vanderbilt, I think, had 12 errors. I mean, you know baseball. You're not winning any 3-game series where you have 12 errors.
Well, that's a season's worth.
Yeah, I mean that's a bad month at the park. These guys did it in 3 days. So State did everything right, and Vanderbilt didn't do enough right, and that's why Vanderbilt is going home without the title, and Mississippi State is bringing it back to Starkville.
Yeah, and good to see. And, you have to say also that the way in which Vanderbilt advanced, it's a little bit of karma, isn't it? You just got to say it.
You can't disagree with that. I mean, and Vandy is definitely the heel in this. They are definitely the bad guy. They wear the black hat.
Yeah.
They have the scholarship thing. They have the whistler where they won't sanction that guy or shoot him off the planet. I don't know what you want to do with him. And then you had the way they advanced. Yeah, it really did feel like Mississippi State was America's team throughout this, and the crowds in Omaha, I mean, record crowds for every game, record crowds for the College World Series. And I mean, there were more people at those games than we'll ever have at Dudy Noble in terms of Mississippi State fans. There were easily 20,000 State fans in the stadium, and then probably more who just didn't get tickets and just took over. I mean, I'll be honest with you, if there's a Bud Light standing in the city of Omaha right now, I'd be surprised. I think State may have drank them out of that.
Well, I had several friends that many of my golf buddies had all headed that way, chartered planes and found other means of transportation, but they weren't going to miss it, and, of course, extended congratulations to them. It's just a big night for baseball, for Mississippi State, for the state of Mississippi. We also got to point out, we being radio guys, I being the amateur at this, by the way, you being the professional, Jim Ellis. It's a great deal for him, is it not? And have you seen the congratulations being extended to him throughout the broadcast community? It's really pretty cool, isn't it? I mean, because you know this, there's a special bond. I mean, these guys represent their respective schools. They wear those colors, the hats. But there's something about being behind that mic that, like anything, when you do the same thing as other people, it bonds you together. It was great to see that.
And you work, 40-some-odd years to get to that moment and to finally have it. Yeah, much deserved congratulations for Jim Ellis. When you become the voice of something, Jim Ellis, the voice of the Bulldogs, obviously, David Kellum, the voice of the Rebels, so on, and John Cox, the voice of the Golden Eagles. We have so many great announcers in this state. But what I said on my podcast is this win is not just for the guys on the field. It's for everybody who's ever been to Dudy Noble as a fan, everybody who's worked for Mississippi State. Everybody gets to enjoy this day and this time as the national champion. And Jim Ellis is very, very high on that list. Think about all the baseball games he's called and all the heartbreak he's seen. Now he is seeing Mississippi State finally get to dogpile in the last game of the season.
It's so cool. And, of course, the legendary Jack Crystal. What do you think he's doing now? Smiling on this deal.
He's probably what I know of Jack Crystal, he's got a cigarette, a glass of bourbon, and a big smile on his face.
No question about it. But I'm just looking here at all the tweets coming in from the broadcasters, especially across the SEC, who are all quality personalities and professionals at what they do. But that's really cool. Looking at one here from our own David Kellum, standing with Jim Ellis. And he says, after many years and many games, Jim calls a title Jim. And that was fantastic. It really was cool. But the game has evolved a lot, as have all sports, of course. But college baseball, who would have thunk it? And I think the state of Mississippi surprised the nation first in how good they are. Not that it's not known that we play quality baseball here at Mississippi State. Other programs, of course, are great. But that performance was super special. This is a big deal. Can you hang around, Brian? We'll talk some more after the break.
I cannot, actually. I'm sorry, Gerard. But don't worry. I'll be on Sports Talk Mississippi, and I'll have a lot to say at 3 o'clock.
Sounds good. Appreciate you joining us today, man. Take care.
Thanks,
Congratulations.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We'll take a break right here. We'll come back with more talk